Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to a brand new video where today we've got some gigantic African football news for you because it has just come out that Real Madrid superstar Brahim Diaz has chosen Morocco over Spain. And today we're going to be talking about all the details in this situation. Who exactly is Brahim Diaz, why he's choosing Morocco over Spain, and ultimately, is it the correct decision? Now, of course, I would like to apologize before we get into this because it has been quite some time since I've done a long form video. I have been sticking to shorts as of late, but of course this is gigantic African football news. You guys know I love it, and of course if you do like African football news and that is content you're into, do subscribe down below. But of course, look here, Brahim Diaz, 24-year-old midfielder slash attacker for Real Madrid, has just chosen Morocco over Spain, and this is gigantic news.
Extra, read all about it.
Ultimately, we have to look at the fact of why is he choosing Morocco over Spain, one of the best national teams in world football. Well, I guess saying that Morocco did beat Spain in the 2022 World Cup, but ultimately it goes down to the fact that he is just not being chosen for the Spanish national team. And at 24 years old, with the kind of CV a player like him has, he needs to play international football. I mean, 24 years old, he's played for Man City, AC Milan, and at Real Madrid. I mean, at 22 years old, just 2 years younger, my biggest achievement is probably watching him play for those three teams.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I do think Brahim Diaz is an absolutely brilliant talent and he does deserve international football, especially heading to Euro 2024. Spain might be without Pedri and Gavi and they are still not choosing Diaz in that midfield. I think it is such a loss for the Spanish national team, but I do think it is a major gain for the Moroccan national team. Look here, Diaz, as I said earlier, he is such a creative outlet. He can play as an attacking midfielder, he can play as a false nine, he can play on either of the wings. He is an absolutely vital player that any team would be lucky to have.
Shut up and take my money.
And he has been brilliant for Real Madrid. I know 4 league goals and 2 assists doesn't sound spectacular, but he has seriously gained the trust of Ancelotti, one of the most stubborn managers out there for probably one of the biggest clubs in football history. I mean, that has to tell you something. He is that creative outlet that Morocco will definitely benefit from. And I'm saying that as a South African who has played against Morocco twice over the last year and who has beaten them twice, that one problem they have had against us is they have kind of missed something that stops their midfield from being so flat. I mean, I'm also saying that as a Manchester United fan who's watched Amrabat for about a year and who has cried because of it, because they do need that creative outlet there.
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
As we know, Ziyech kind of plays higher up for the Moroccan national team, more as a winger, and they do need that player in the midfield that makes transition a tiny bit easier. And I do think Diaz could be that player. If you put him in that midfield with the likes of Amrabat, with the likes of Nahi, I do think that is a solid option. Or as I said, he is a versatile player. If they want to set up for the fact that Ziyech might leave in a few years, whether he retires in a few years, because let's be honest, he is getting older, he isn't as clinical as he used to be, that is also not a bad idea. You could also play him as a false nine, as I said earlier. As I said, there are just so many reasons to why I do think he will benefit Morocco. I do think he is one of those players that I think could be really, really good if you do train him under the right system. I do think the Moroccan national team would be perfect for him. Obviously, his paternal grandparents were Moroccan, which is why he is able to make this switch. And I know he has played for the Spanish national team, but as we know, if you play under a certain amount of games and he has only played one friendly for Spain, you're still able to change your allegiances, which I am surprised by the fact that he had scored 1 goal in his 1 game for Spain, even though I think it was against Lithuania. The fact that he scored in his only game for Spain and they still haven't chosen him is absolutely criminal. I know they've still got competition there, like the likes of Isco has been really, really good this season, but Brahim Diaz with his kind of versatility would have been so crucial for the Spanish national team. But once again, if you kind of stick him in that midfield next to Nahi and Amrabat, or if you want to put him up front instead of the likes of Enyesri, for example, who doesn't always have that creative outlet, although yes, he's a tall and physical player, sometimes you need to have a different system in your game. I do think Brahim Diaz has a world of experience behind him. I mean, he's been managed by Pep Guardiola.
You don't like to touch balls?
In one of the best City teams in the world, once again, AC Milan, a team that has been thriving over the last few years, and of course, Real Madrid. Do you need to say any more? I do think Brahim Diaz, once again, an absolutely brilliant young talent, and he's played with some brilliant players over the years, and he's started over some brilliant players. I do think Brahim Diaz, such a bright future ahead of him, and I'm just shocked overall the fact that Spain haven't really considered him, especially with such a huge tournament coming up. And let's be honest, Spain since, 2010 or 2012, haven't necessarily been a thriving football nation. They have been so upsetting in every recent tournament we've watched, seeming to go out to the likes of, dare I say, underdogs or teams that they really should be the favourites against. I mean, I know Croatia nowadays is a solid team, but they haven't done well against nations like that. Obviously, as I said earlier, Morocco in the previous World Cup, whether it be Japan, Spain seems to be the team that always loses to nations like that. And I think Brahim Diaz could have been that difference for him. I mean, he's doing really well in a very, very strong Real Madrid team. I mean, in the midfield, when you've got the likes of Luka Modric still, Tchouameni, Jude Bellingham up front, Joselu has not been bad for them. Your wings are Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. This is a player who is breaking into a team like that. Once again, absolutely criminal that Spain are not still choosing him. And the fact that Morocco are able to snatch a player like him up, I think will make a major difference for him. I think in the Champions League, he's been brilliant this season. He is that player with a lot of European experience. Once again, I mean, saying that, it's not the weirdest thing the Spanish national team has done. I mean, it was 2 years ago where they selected no Real Madrid players for their World Cup squad, which maybe that is something that we need to look at as well. The kind of biasness towards Real Madrid players, the fact that they just don't seem to like Real Madrid players.
No, he's got a point.
Along with that, I mean, I'm a Man United fan, as I said earlier, not choosing the likes of David De Gea. Spain just seems to make wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision, and I do think this is one of those decisions that could seriously come back and bite the Spanish Football Federation.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
But once again, I guess only time will tell. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this is the correct decision for Brahim Diaz? Do you think it is the correct decision from the Spanish national team to not choose a player like him where they are so desperately in need of a brand new midfielder? I don't know. But of course, this has been Finn, FYNN. Cheers.